today I wanted to talk about when you can start milking your goat after they've had their kids. Most likely you are raising goats because you want their milk. And so it's a good question. So when can you get that first milk? Now, there are several approaches to this. This doe, just a couple days ago, had some kids, but they're just little itty bitty things and they can't keep up with her production, and I don't want her getting mastitis. So I am going to empty her out a bit so that she's not so tight, and then I'm going to monitor her just as the days go by. So that is something important. After you have your doe has had her kids, you need to watch and make sure that she doesn't get so tight, because sometimes the kids can start to suck and they just can't keep up with the letdown, and so it overwhelms them, and sometimes their teeth can become so big that they just can't handle that either, and they just can't keep up, and that can lead to problems. And you want your doe to continue making as much milk as possible for your sake as the months go by. So a tight udder will tell the doe, hey, you're making way too much milk, slow it down, and then that can decrease their milk production. So there are several approaches that you can take to raising kids. One of the ways is just bottle raising them. The doe would have the kids and you would separate them and then start bottle raising them. If you have the time to do that, or you have a doe that you know has some disease of some sort that you don't want to pass on to the kids, then that would be an option to do that. Now that is an option that I don't want to do myself. I love it that my does can raise their own kids. I've found that a doe that has been raised by their mother is a very good mother when it's her turn. I also don't have the time to do that, and I just like it when the does can raise their own kids. The way that I do it is dam raising. The does raise the kids, and they do so until weaning. And I wean at 2 months, between 2 and 3 months, depending on if it is a little buckling or a doeling. And so that is another option, is just to have the doe raise the kids, and then once the kids are weaned, you can begin to milk. Another way to do this is to separate the does and the kids. So you could do this in two ways. You could either separate them in the daytime or separate them at night. Now this would happen after the kids are several weeks old. So you would let the doe raise them for several weeks, and then you can begin to separate them. So the first way that you would do that is separate them in the daytime, and they would each go into their separate places, and then you would milk the doe in the evening. Another way you can do it is to separate them in the evening, and then you would milk her first thing in the morning, and then put the kids back together with her in the daytime. That is actually what I do when I've done that. I actually this year haven't done that yet, but when I have in the past, I've separated them at night. It's easier to do it that way, and I like it that the kids can go out with their mamas during the day and forage and get all the outside activity going on with their mom, and then I separate them at night, and that is a very good option. Another approach is to do like half being raised by the doe and half raised by the bottle. So you would separate them in the daytime and give the babies their bottles during the day at an earlier age, and then at night they'd be returned to their mother. And by doing this, you can start milk production for yourself a little bit sooner. You can start it like almost immediately, and then the kids can be sold at an earlier age, and they're already on the bottle. The people that buy them can take them and raise them on the bottle, and you can sell them at an earlier age, and that can be also an acceptable way to do that. This also is a way that people that are showing their goats use this method, because they have found that it helps prepare their does really well for the show ring. By removing the kids from the doe, it's like the udder of the doe like swells and stretches, and that is what you want in the show ring. So if you are planning to show and are heading that way, definitely that is an option for you. That shows you 4 ways that you can do it. You can do total separation from the beginning. You can do just dam raising. The doe raises the kids. You can do doe raising with separation, which would be either you'd separate them during the day or separate them during the night. And number 4, you could do either the doe raising the kids and the bottle feeding, both at this, you're doing that at the same time, but that allows you to sell the kids in an earlier age and can help prepare your doe for the show ring. Those 4 options are great options that you can do with your goats to know and just be confident and know that when you can start milking your does and get some fresh milk for yourself, but it'll also not only will you be able to get some milk sooner, but you can also be watching your does and making sure that when they first kid that they're not huge. Like the other doe that I'm going to be bringing into milk, they have been favoring one side, so the other side is just very large and ballooned out. So that'll relieve the pressure on that side. It will also, hopefully, once it's smaller and not so pressure filled, the kids will begin to drink on that side as well. And then as the kids grow, they will be drinking more milk as well. But you don't want your does to get mastitis, and so you need to be watching that so that you're milking them out. So if they are full and the kids aren't able at the very beginning to get it all, you just need to be able to milk them out a bit so that doesn't happen. Good job. Okay. This doe was featured in my video about how to train a goat to milk, and she was my goat that did an awful job of it. I mean, you should go watch that video. It will make you laugh because it was a disaster. But I figured out a great way to get her milked that was really helpful, because she could kick both feet into the air at the same time and way over my head, and it was awful the first week of milking. And so she hasn't been milked for a year, and we'll see how she's going to do. But you can see that this side is very full. I love this goat. She started out rough. She was wild. And now she's a very affectionate goat. She's a very good mother. So I love that. I'm gonna have to build up my muscles again. You don't realize how much muscle it takes to milk until you start milking. If you're ever concerned with how much to take, you really don't need to worry about that. The doe will hold back what she needs for her babies, and you really can never, at least in my experience, you can never really milk out a goat completely. They're continually making milk, so they will be able to keep up, and so I mean, you don't want to strip them out completely, but you can get a good portion of the milk, and they'll make more, and the babies will have enough. So you don't need to worry about that. The babies are right there. And Faith here, she had 2 kids 2 months ago. And so I haven't been milking. I haven't separated this year. I haven't separated any of the kids from the does. I actually saved milk. I froze milk last year, and so we just have a couple more gallon bags of it in the freezer, and so we've been finishing that up, so I really haven't been in desperate need of milk. And so I just haven't started that chore yet. But she had one of her kids, one of her little wethers, left the other day. And so she just has one little doeling on her. And so one of her sides is fairly tight. So I'm just going to milk out the other side to keep that again so it doesn't get too tight. And then maybe the doeling will be more willing to drink on that side as well. So I will keep the doeling of hers on for another month. I believe that the doeling should be kept on as long as possible, especially if they're going to be raised for breeding purposes. You want them to have as much nutrition as possible. And so weaning them too soon just can starve them of the nutrition that they need. So I will wean the bucklings or the wethers earlier, at 2 months, if there is, if someone is interested in them and wanting to pick them up. This year, for the first time, I am milking 5 does. Last year I was milking 4, so this year we added 1 more. The goat milk is in high demand and people love it. It is so good for you. So if you want to know the astounding benefits of goat milk, you can watch that video on my channel as well. As you can see, got some good amount of milk. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I love to read your comments, and so if you can like, comment, and share this video to help other goat owners anywhere else that you know of, please hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified of more videos coming your way. I upload daily on the weekdays, and so thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.